Well, I think the regular season probably told the story. I mean, four really close games, couple overtime games, not a lot of room, physical. I think that's going to be the story of the series, and how do you match up? I mean, the playoffs are always a new season. I think you can learn from the tape and what you know about the teams, but it's a different season, and you can't hang your hat on any of the things that have either gone well or poorly during the regular season against teams in these situations. Yeah, yeah, I love it. I mean, that's you know, it, when you're in the regular season, you're trying to keep your own team on track. You're spending probably 10% of your time on what the other teams are doing. Um, but when you get a 7 game series, you can really dial in on a team and its tendencies and analytics and consistencies and things like that. That's for me, it's the most enjoyable part of the job. Yeah. Well, two totally different players, right? I mean, Kaprasov is the first thing I think about is power, and he's got that solid base. He's never off his feet. So strong. Both have lethal shots. I think obviously Robo's more rangy and uses his long arms and his reach and some of those things a little bit more, or Kaprasov's more of that power through you type game. But both very effective offensive players, and both guys that they both have that goal scorer's knack where they don't need a lot of room to find a hole, and they don't need a lot of space to get a shot off, and they're both dangerous guys. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, you start getting game planned around, you start getting more attention, you start getting one and two defensemen instead of 4, 5, and 6 defensemen out against you every night. The opposing team starts studying your offensive tendencies, and they try and take that stuff away. So that's what great players do. They continue to evolve and work through that, and the really really good players are the ones that can continue to produce even with that attention. You know what? I think his puck decisions. I think I've been really impressed with. He has a conscience with the puck, um, where he's not afraid to dump it out or dump it in. If there's nothing there, he's a smart player, and he recognizes opportunity to create offense. But he also has a conscience where he can live to fight another day. If there's nothing there, he's willing to stick it in and go and forecheck or do some of that heavy lifting, that you ask other guys to do. So that's what I've been most impressed with. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it depends if that's what you want to do, Bruce. I don't think we're looking to surprise anyone with a trick play or do something differently. We've had success all year based on a foundation with all our systems, 5-on-5, PK, PP, and we have a strong belief that if we do those foundational things right, um, it doesn't matter what the other group's doing. So I don't think we're looking to surprise anyone. We're just, if anything, we want to surprise them with how consistent our special teams are in the playoffs after having a great regular season. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is what everyone's read about him. Great teammate, great energy, great in the room, um, and he's a great goalie. And the thing that gets lost sometimes in some of those stories is how competitive he is. He's an ultra competitive guy that wants to play every night and wants to be out there and make a difference. Um, and the other guys had an exceptional season. I mean, you put his numbers up against anybody in the league, and he's right there. And it wasn't a small sample size. He played a lot of games, so that's a strength of their team. Their defending and their elite goaltending. I don't think I have to say anything. I think when you meet Wyatt, you spend time with him. This he's unflappable. He's mature beyond his years. He's taken a junior team deep in the playoffs. He's won a gold medal at the under 18s. And he lives with Joe Pavelski. So Joe does all the talking that needs to be done with Wyatt.
How do you kind of manage the team's emotions to go on a deep run?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think as a coach, you can set the table a little bit for that with how you manage situations. I'll give you an example. I was in San Jose. We were playing St. Louis in the conference final. You guys probably remember this play, but it was game 1-2, something like that. It was early in the series. We're in St. Louis, and we go to overtime, and we actually hand pass a puck to Erik Karlsson, clear hand pass, ends up in the net. The referees miss it, and it stood because it wasn't reviewable. So, we win a game we shouldn't win. And I remember, watching Craig Berube's, how he handled that situation. If he had gone off the rails, maybe his team goes off the rails. He was so consistent and so calm in his messaging about it and getting ready for the next play and the next game, and not to dwell on it, that his team, I thought, worked off his reaction, and they ended up beating us and winning the Stanley Cup against Boston that year. But I thought it was a key moment. So I mean, I think those are situations where your coach can have a say, but that attitude comes from your dressing room, your captains, and Jamie Benn's been on long runs. Joe Pavelski's been on long runs. We've got guys in there. Tyler Seguin's won a Stanley Cup, so those guys will set that tone. I'm just trying to manage his bank account, make sure he's not buying a couple hundred tickets every game there. I talked to him about that this morning. I mean, at some point you can't buy everyone in Minnesota a ticket to come watch you play. So, and he's excited, obviously. I think for anyone coming home like that, it's a dream come true. But again, like Wyatt, you don't have, there's guys you have to spend time with on things like that, and Jake's so mature beyond his years that it really, not even hasn't even crossed my radar. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not just him, the entire team. I mean, we talk about that going into the playoffs, is eliminating distractions. It's there's a lot of distractions this time of year, and the deeper you go, the more of them you have. More people want to come watch you play. More people want to come into town and visit. All those things. So we've got a, the great thing about our group, and I keep harkening back to it, is just we have great leadership in there, and those guys get it. They understand. You don't need to say it more than once. Yeah. It's a good question. You know what? I mean, like anything, it wasn't smooth all the way through, but um, I never, I never found anyone in that room or the group at any moment not wanting or not believing in what we were trying to do. Maybe it wasn't done perfectly or seamlessly. Maybe they hadn't, uh, you know, yet got it to the point where they were doing it without thinking about it. There was mistakes made, but it was they never questioned the principles of what we were trying to do, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. And again, I think Joe Pavelski helps immensely in that because he's the guy in the room that's basically our credibility, for what we're trying to do.
In the playoffs, physicality, intimidation, rough stuff gets ratcheted up.
Yeah.
How do you walk the line between don't retaliate to the help the team, but don't let others bring that?
Yeah. Well, I don't. I'm not concerned at all about our team being pushed out of a game physically. I think we're built that way. We're a big, heavy, hard team. So I haven't seen a team yet that that has pushed us out physically. But playoffs is whistle to whistle, and there's really no room to get involved in the extracurricular stuff.
How much of preparation, scouting, changed just because of video analytics, everything else from when you first started?
Yeah. Well, I think video is the same. I mean, when I coached my first playoff game 10 years ago, except it's a lot quicker. I mean, we would hunker down for days and watch tape and break it all down. Now you're provided with that. If you want, Minnesota's last 54 checks or 50 chances, you can get that at your fingertips. So but the process, the video is the same. You have to work through that and get a picture. The analytics is where it's changed. Because it's allowed you to really dial in on what teams are really good at, what they're really poor at, and you might be able to expose. And that's something. There's always surprises in those reports for me. Of areas that you can either exploit or have to be careful of.